mentioned, Wesley Hoyt, and certainly Ralph Hasenhüttl's trying to implement a younger-looking squad. Was a large amount of money spent in previous regimes. Not much of it has proved to be value, which has divided opinion around the football world. I thought it was a red card, personally, even though Torreira is of a very small stature. Here is Cabaselli now for the home side. Watford just pushing men forward now. Cabaselli out wide to Daryl Janmaat. Janmaat's just forced a little bit backwards by Ryan Bertrand, so Watford retreat into their own half. Craig Cathcart will certainly want to try and make up for the error that led to the Southampton goal. Tell you, we've got the other game on the screen in our studio. Tottenham have just come very close from a set piece. Here come Watford now down the left. Pereira looking to get at Southampton. Plays it into the middle for Deulofeu. Deulofeu with a crossfield pass to Daryl Janmaat. Headed across at the byline. Hughes and Decore tried to get there. Southampton defending staunchly at the moment. I think it's safe to say that Watford have been the better team since the goal.
Yeah, they have. It's sort of was the wake-up call. 8 seconds and slap in the face and yeah, come on then. But they've been largely on top since then. There've been a couple of bursts forward by Saints, who are playing quite well in the counter-attack, and Long looked like he's having a pretty good game already, obviously to say when he's got 1 goal. But yeah, Watford look decent. There's been a response from them, and for me they look the most likely to grab a second goal in this game.
Yep, they certainly do, and Southampton just need to try and reassert themselves, get forward a little bit more as Messina picks up the ball on the near side. In for Decore, he just runs into a bit of a cul-de-sac, but Messina is there to rescue him, and now Etienne Capoue is in possession to Hughes. But now with the Frenchman Capoue to Decore now, who is always buzzing here, there and everywhere around that midfield for the Hornets. Cathcart now. Watford nice in possession. Just as I say that, Messina gives possession away, and now it's Nathan Redmond in field for Højbjerg. Højbjerg across now to Ryan Bertrand. Bertrand heads backwards to Maya Yoshida. Yoshida into Romeu. Southampton, it's now their turn just to keep hold of the ball. Bednarek out to Ward-Prowse. They did miss Yannick Vestergaard's extra height against Newcastle at the weekend, and Ayoze Perez hat-trick getting the better of Southampton at St James's Park. Just not quite working out at the moment in terms of build-up play for them.
Well, they don't have somebody to dominate Yoshida as Rondon did. We thought the Newcastle front three was superb, and Almiron, his pace and ability just to run direct at them. And of course it was Ayoze Perez's day, wasn't it, with a hat-trick for him, but pretty lively stuff. But for me, Rondon set the tone, and so I think Watford are really missing Deeney to be in there and bully the centre-backs. Yoshida's not that big, is he? Bednarek, we saw him playing the left-hand side of the centre-backs last time, and he didn't like it there. It didn't look good. And the fact that I think they subbed Stevens at half-time because he barely got involved. But so there were problems. Can Watford exploit them? They're a sort of different shape today, and what they'll have to do is cope with the pace of Gray. But that might be a sort of easier thing for Yoshida to cope with.
Yeah, I think if you had to ask the Southampton defenders who they'd rather be facing, Andre Gray or Troy Deeney, I think they'd pick the former, and that's no slight on Andre Gray. He does what he can when he comes in. He's just a victim, really, of the fact that Javi Gracia prefers really to play with just one up front, and Troy Deeney, as he's so often described, is Mr. Watford, the club captain. He's been there nearly a decade now, and he's going to be very proud as he leads his team out into the FA Cup final, of course, presuming he's fit to play in that one, as Watford with Capoue get a ball out wide now to Daryl Janmaat. Janmaat plays it in for Hughes. Hughes just doesn't quite get enough on that pass back out wide to Deulofeu, and then Deulofeu is dispossessed. Watford will have a throw-in. Watford are dominating this game at the moment in terms of possession and getting into Southampton's half, but it's the visitors who've had a really good opportunity to try and double their advantage. Shane Long again with real industry up front. He played a ball out to James Ward-Prowse on the right-hand side. Ward-Prowse was left with a lot of freedom to get across towards the back post. It fell kindly for Shane Long, but he just mistimed his header and it went wide of that stick. But Watford certainly looked dangerous. Pereira coming back has been a big influence for them, but it still remains Watford 0, Southampton 1.
Sure does. Ward-Prowse tries across, but that's blocked away. And so the ball goes backwards with my Yoshida, who finds Romeo. And then the ball out to the right-hand side. I think Bednarek on the right of the three centre-backs now, with Stevens, we think, out the left. Ball given to Nathan Redmond. First carry for him, really, today. Into the box he goes. And, then he gets a shot away. How did that happen? Well, I tell you something. It looked like he'd overcooked it. And then he's like, well, have another go. Redmond gets back on the ball inside the box. And I don't even know how he managed that. And then gets a shot away. But he wriggled through almost 3 would-be challengers. I don't know if the keeper got a touch on that, actually. But I'm not sure he was ever actually flying in.
Yeah, it's Cathcart and Messina just left the ball to one another in the box. Redmond was able to get the shot away. And I think Foster did get fingertips because it looks like a corner's been awarded. So, an opportunity then for Ward-Prowse on the corner kick. And another half chance for them. Watford defence has been a bit shaky so far today. And Cathcart's had a couple of moments that he won't want to necessarily relive that often. Ball now all the way back to Gunn, who just fires a long ball down the line, headed up in the air, picked up by Ducore, who then loses out his 50-50, and he's judged to have brought down Romeo, and a yellow card's been shown. Yeah, we'll have to have another look at that one as Etienne Capoue, again, another defensive midfielder who's no stranger to picking up yellow cards. Look at that one. I think that's very soft for a booking, to be honest.
But again, it's one of those where, because he thought he's shielding the ball, but actually Ward-Prowse does enough to nick it off him, and then he's into a 50-50. Now he's feeling bad about losing the ball, he just overdoes it. He jumps in a bit. And so it is a free kick, and I think the referee was right. Anyway, the lineup of walks a long way out. You'd have felt that Ben Foster's probably got this covered. We could talk at Ward-Prowse if you like, but I don't think he's going to hit it in from here. He clips one over the top. Terrible free kick that. Now they're batting a ball.
Yeah, it's a really poor one from James Ward-Prowse. The long kick from Ben Foster's caused a few problems at the back there. It was too far for him to have the shot, as Watford now get into the box themselves with Will Hughes. But there was just too many men in the way as he tried to take the strike. Maybe he could have had a shout from one of his colleagues behind him just to leave it for a dummy almost. But Ward-Prowse, normally so reliable with those set pieces, and it was just gifted to Ben Foster.
Yeah, Will Hughes needed to do a little bit better there, didn't he? I quite like him. I feel when he's on top form, then he's skirting and around being good enough for England. But, at the minute, I wouldn't say he's quite in that sort of form. Anyway, long ball forward and ball headed away. Romeo in the middle of the park has his pocket picked by Ducore. And the ball goes out left-hand side. An opportunity then. Delafeu picking up all sorts of pockets of space. Gets the ball back in the box. Good challenge. Comes in. I guess that was Bednarek. I'm not sure. But, again, Watford win the ball. Yamak with the strike. The ball comes back out. They're blocked away. And then Southampton happy to just to chip that anywhere. Yamak coming in there and having a bit of a lash. Not terrible. But it still remains Watford 0, Southampton 1. Signs of life for Watford. They don't look particularly good defending or having to chase back, and I don't think they want to be putting the hammer down and expending too much energy. But other than that, they're playing all right.
Yeah, I mean, even if they've got one eye on the FA Cup final, I still don't think that's going to be enough to stop them from playing the neat football that they often go with. It's just making challenges in midfield, getting back, defending. As you say, they're going to be more reluctant to throw themselves into those challenges, but those neat little triangles they play with the likes of Pereira, Delafeu, Hughes, Ducore, I think regardless of the FA Cup final, we will see some decent football from them.
Yep, I think so. Watford 0, Southampton 1 it is, but Saints now little bit of possession down the left-hand side. Armstrong plays the ball on the inside. Lovely spin and turn. Great ball out to Ward-Prowse at the edge of the area. He's got Redmond in the box. The flag, I think, might have gone up. And he lashed it into the side netting anyway. But he was just offside.
Yeah, I mean, Southampton, they're not coming forward as often as Watford, but they look pretty good when they do as well. It's a lovely turn from Shane Long on the edge of the box. James Ward-Prowse just tries to lay a ball to Nathan Redmond. I think he maybe could have done it first time. Redmond didn't time his run correctly, and then knowing he's offside, just smashed it into the side netting. I still think Watford are probably the more likely side to get the next goal of the game, but Southampton look like they've got more goals in them as well.
Yeah, I mean, there could be a few more to come. I agree with that assessment completely. Both teams look fairly lively. It's not a dreadful game. In fact, it's decent. Both teams trying to play a little bit of football, and here's Pereira now. Chips the ball into the box. It bounces a couple of times, which means it probably was a half-decent ball from where he was. But Gray's not that battering ram, and he rather diminutive. Certainly no Troy Deeney. We look at the goal again. It shows that. Counting down the seconds. Bang. Quickest goal in Premier League history, we think. And we'll obviously find out at half-time whether that's true or not. But if it's not, it must be a hell of a goal that was scored that's quicker than that. I mean, literally from the ball being in the in the centre spot and having been kicked off from one person to another. It couldn't be that much quicker than that, could it?
No, I don't think it's possible. I think the only way you'd ever get a quicker goal, just to say that Watford breaking into the box on the left-hand side. Delafeu just stood with possession before he plays it back instead. I think the only way you could get a quicker goal is if someone just decides to have a shot from kick-off, and you normally only ever see that when a team's 4-3 down in the 96th minute and they're just desperate.
Yep. Those things don't necessarily happen too much in the professional ranks, do they? But anyhow, I think most people know a story or two like that, goals scored like that, down the divisions and in the different leagues. Anyway, Watford 0, Southampton 1, and Ralph Hasenhüttl is pacing in his technical area. I think he'd be quite pleased about how they're going about business today. They've defended pretty well. They've obviously grabbed a goal, and it doesn't hurt. And they've got a bit of goal forward. Pereira finds Delafeu, but he in midfield, then he's swamped, and Saints managed to come away with the ball. Ward-Prowse looking for the give and go, but in the end they've got tangled there. Redmond comes back out with the ball, and referee's done well there. I just think it's one of those things, a bit of contact, but I didn't really see a foul, and he let play go on. Saints keep the ball, Yoshida, and then to Stevens, who's on the left-hand side of that back three. Bertrand, the ball inside, but then a poor ball. We haven't seen much of Højbjerg today. I think that was his ball. Not the best. As Foster then launches one long. That ball headed by Ward-Prowse back on his inside to Bednarek, and then they have it in the middle of the park with Højbjerg. Armstrong comes deep. Ball laid left to Bertrand, and then back to Yoshida. Keeping the ball, not doing an awful lot with it, but this is good enough, I think, away from home. Ward-Prowse having a decent game, I think. Finds Redmond, he's scampering forward now, and he wants to run through Cathcart. Runs into him. He might have been looking for a foul there, but I think Cathcart can't make himself invisible at that point, and I think again the referee's got that right.
Yeah, I mean, it's often forgotten these days by some referees that it's still a contact sport, and contact is inevitable. And when you've got two players trying to win the ball from each other, both of them giving as good as they've got, just let the play go on rather than blow your whistle and award it in favour of one team.
But here comes Southampton into the box. There was a strong, sturdy challenge on Bertrand, and he's looking for something that he's not going to get there. I just thought again, centre-back came out, did his job. Good challenge, trying to work out who that was. Cabaselli, was it? No. Cathcart, perhaps. As Shane Long's the latest to say, look, I've been appended in the box, or at the edge of the box. Højbjerg having a word, but again, I'm just thinking, what was it? if Cathcart came across initially for the contract with Bertrand, I think maybe what Ryan Bertrand said, I should have got a free kick before I was even in the box. Will Hughes pulling me back. Our referee did let play go on. He's giving Bertrand an advantage to break into the box, and then the next challenge is saying, well, hang on, Cathcart's just come across and been too strong.
I think both instances it would have been soft to award the free kick for the Hughes challenge and the Cathcart challenge. It was a good run by Ryan Bertrand, and I think it's more just the momentum of him running forward that brought him down to the ground. There was nothing overly aggressive from either Watford player.
Yeah, pull ball into the middle of the park, and Armstrong's on it like a flash, wins it back for his team. And ball laid back to Bertrand, and then in the middle for Romeo, who finds a good ball to Højbjerg, ranging forward now down his right hand side. Ward-Prowse again. Hadn't got too many targets in the box, so decided not to opt for that. Romeo flicks it forward. Ball laid back though. And now to left hand side for Bertrand. An opportunity again to get into the box. Puts a deep cross in, too deep over here, and he's having a word with himself, Ryan Bertrand. But again, a lot of promise there from Southampton.
Yeah, there is more promise, and I think they've managed to level this game out in the last 5 or 10 minutes, stopping Watford getting too many touches. We've not spoken too much about Deulofeu and Pereira so far, particularly in the last 10 minutes of games. They are looking more of a threat out wide, and whenever James Ward-Prowse picks the ball up, you think something could potentially happen. Yeah,
that's right. So both teams have got decent out balls at the minute, but this time I think Deulofeu, has he just handled or something? I don't quite know what the referee's called there, but play has stopped. So Watford 0, Southampton 1. The other game still goalless. I think Brighton are trying to do it 1 point at a time at the minute, having got a draw at the weekend, having played terribly against Wolves. But they don't care how they survive as long as they do. And again, it would be a shame for them to have got to Wembley semi-final and then find out that they're on quicksand and they're in the Championship. And that has happened before, hasn't it? Wigan found that, didn't they? FA Cup and then down a division, and only just survived in the Championship this season, but have shown a bit of spirit in recent games anyway. Here come Watford out the right hand side. Janmaat controls the ball. He's got a runner on the overlap, but it all goes narrow, so he has to come inside. Ball with Capoue, and then Deulofeu's dropped a little bit deeper to pick that up. Finds the Pereira, and again looking for the overlapping run from Messina. Less likely to bomb forward than Holovas, I think, and that all got really ponderous, didn't it? Everybody's forward, but then everybody stopped and nobody was moving, and it's like nobody really wants to put too much effort in.
Yeah, I mean, it did slow down a bit for Watford getting forward. I just think Southampton have just dropped a little bit deeper now. It looked like they had more men around to try and defend, and as Watford went to go forward, the space has tended to be there, but now suddenly there's an extra Southampton man, so they're having to just stop, turn around, find a teammate, and in the end that kind of slows down the play.
Yep, sure does. As we see again Watford back on the ball. Quite exciting being in our studio tonight. You can hear the polls going crazy listening to or watching that Spurs Brighton game, because Brighton have gone close, but here come Watford now into the box. Hughes, maybe an opportunity, ball laid back, half a chance here. Can Pereira deal a ball in, but he tries, but that's blocked away.
After a very quick start to this game, it's kind of dulled out a little bit. It's Watford 0, Southampton 1. Southampton getting back into the game a lot more, meaning that it's a bit of a scrap in the middle of the park. Both sides have had half chances. Nathan Redmond hitting the side netting, although he was offside from James Ward-Prowse's ball forward. Watford have just had an opportunity themselves. Roberto Pereira picking the ball up with his left foot on the edge of the box, but his strike took a deflection behind. Nathan Redmond, as well as just had an effort well saved by Ben Foster, out for a corner kick. Watford 0, Southampton 1.
Again, Southampton crept forward. Again, brilliant work by Long, and he puts a real cute ball into the box. I don't know what the defender's thinking about there, But in the end, I think it's Cabaselli just caught dawdling. And then Redmond is going to take it round the keeper. He scrapes a fingertip onto that ball that takes it wide of that far post. Well done, Ben Foster. That could easily have been 2. Shane Long, certainly the man of the first half, having a wow of the game as Ward-Prowse now takes the corner kick in. It comes in, swinging, ball bouncing into the box. Oh, dearie me. Maya Yoshida, the ball just got caught at his feet, bouncing in front of him, but his balance was taking him in the other direction almost. Why was that? Did he get a shove or something? Oh, it looked like he'd handled the ball in the box.
Yeah, I just don't think he was expecting it to go through the number of bodies that it did, and he was just caught on his heels as he tried to divert it into the back of the net. As you say, his balance was taking him away from the ball, and he was always just kind of having to try and lunge to get contact to it, so couldn't do anything there. But it wasn't great defending by Watford once again, and we've seen that quite a few times in this game.
Yep, there's a pretty poor foul. And I think Cabaselli might well go in the book here. No attempt to play the ball, and Mike Dean shows him that yellow. Just hauling down Armstrong. Well, in fact, didn't haul him down as much as just trip him up. He's running through about the halfway. In fact, it's Decore, rather than Cabaselli. But he was last man there. And Armstrong just showing him a clean pair of heels. And that's the kind of challenge that Capu and Decore make all the time in order to protect their team. I have no problem with that.
No, definitely not. I mean, they are going to pick up a few bookings throughout the season, both of them in the referee's notebook tonight. But that's what they have to give it in order to stop teams from attacking at them, and it just allows the likes of Pereira, Hughes, Delafeu the license to get a bit further forward. So again, it's just the balance of the team.
Do you know what? I'm watching Ward-Prowse today. I'm thinking he looks an hatch for this wing-back role. You know, because he delivers good balling. We know he's got that. They're good at set piece. We know he's got a lot of energy about him, but he does seem to get lost in the middle of the park. But I'm finding that he's a good fit for this role. Yeah,
I think. I don't think he's a number 10. He's been played there before. I don't think he's quite got the quickness of feet to do that. I'd rather see him. I'm not sure whether his long-term future is going to be at right wing back, but if he plays in a 3 in midfield, be at the right side of that 3, so that he can still influence things in the middle, but he can also get out wide and deliver those crosses into the box, because his crossing's probably his best attribute.
It is, yeah. I think he's doing all right today. Something to think about anyway. You know, he's one of those players very versatile, and sometimes that can be the undoing, of a good player. Mess him about a bit, and then you forget actually what it is that he's good at. But he does deliver a decent ball from that right hand side as Watford just thumped the ball forward. We're about 42 minutes now, and the game's been fairly easy on the eye. 1 or 2 flat spots. I don't think. I think today it was very difficult to go strong on anybody, bearing in mind that what's ahead of Watford. I think naturally I would have wanted to back him today, but given circumstance and the FA Cup coming up, you couldn't do it with any conviction, could you?
No, and similarly, you couldn't really back Southampton with much conviction as well, because even though they've been much improved since Ralph Hasenhüttl took over, there's still glaring areas in the team that need improvement. I mean, this back three's been much more successful today. I think without having Vestergaard in it just lacks a little bit of bite, really. I mean, it's 3 players that look reasonably comfortable on the ball, but none of them are big 6'4", 6'5" bruisers like Vestergaard is. And when you've got 3 of them in there, you need that balance of ones that can play with the ball at feet but can also look after themselves.
Yeah, it's right. We haven't seen much set piece, have we? I think because Watford haven't got Deeney, they play a different brand of football. But here comes Bertrand now with the early ball in. Great ball across the face and eventually sliding at the far post with Bertrand. But he couldn't, from that angle, get the ball to the back of the net. It must have been pretty close to Shane Long sliding in.
Yeah, it's a strong end to this first half for Southampton. I've no idea where Messina is, the Watford left back, because Redmond had so much time and space to get the cross in. It's a very good ball to the back post. I don't think there's too much more that Bertrand could have done, because Hughes was there on the cover as well. Just tried to divert it goal bound. Instead, it clipped the post and went wide. But I think Ralph Hasenhüttl will be absolutely delighted with what he's seen from his side, both attacking and defending.
Yeah, I think I've got a sympathy for Messina there, because we think, right, well, here's a great ball into the box, a shot right across the face from Deulofeu, instant control from him, and just clipped a shot in. They say take it early. You know, maybe he could have found a colleague in the box. We'll take a look at that. It was a smashing ball to him. I think he was offside. The flag didn't go up though, and maybe he should have been putting that ball across. What do you think, Dan?
I think regardless of whether he's offside, that first touch is absolutely brilliant from Deulofeu. Good ball over by Doucouré, but it's still one where the attacker has to do quite a bit with it. One touch on his left, was able to spin on a sixpence and then get the shot across. And you know, again, it's one of those where it's a difficult one to take from that kind of angle.
Yeah, I thought he was offside. He wasn't flagged, mind you. VAR's going to sort a lot out next season, and it's some of these silly mistakes. But anyway, yeah, you're right. I mean, the touch was just sublime, wasn't it? First touch, brilliant. Anyway, we're closing in on the end of the half. I don't think there'll be much time added on. Watford 0, Southampton 1. You know, there may only be the obligatory minute, if that. Anyway, ball up the field with Watford, then contested in the middle of the park, and again Ward-Prowse has been a good outball for them today. You get back to Messina, I think he's got a lot of work to do, because he's watching Ward-Prowse, but then of course Redmond's peeling off in that right hand side, making him look bad. But should that be one of the centre backs who's looking after him? I don't know. That's what makes it a good formation for Southampton. This 3-4-3. But anyway, we have got a minute added on, and we're into that already. As Ward-Prowse does pick it up, Nathan Redmond goes to help him, but that ball blocked away. I think Mr. Angry Holobas for me is a better player than Messina. You know, and he got a rake of assists as well, hasn't he, this season? As well as his usual 8 or 9 yellow cards. But
yeah, I mean, I think Messina has looked pretty good, particularly going forward, but defensively might be a bit suspect. Holobas is pretty good going forward. For me, he is a better defender. Now, sometimes he does it in a way that purists don't quite like. He kicks people, to put it bluntly, but it's effective. And if he's fit and ready for that FA Cup final, I think he'll get the nod at left back, as another yellow card has been awarded, I think this time to Nathan Redmond.
Yeah, Capu caught late, and who was it sliding in there?
Bednarek. It was a combination of Bednarek and then Ward-Prowse. I think it's Bednarek that's...
Yeah, he left one in there, didn't he? Definitely left his studs in there. Nasty challenge, really. I mean, it was hot before that contest. Ward-Prowse getting stuck in. And I thought, yeah, you know, some nice lusty challenges. But I think, again, Mike Dean's having a good game. Wanted to let it go, but then he got just a bit too tasty, didn't it? Anyway, this will be the last action of the half. Deulofeu with a free kick from fairly deep out. He's got to be about 40 out, even further. It's a long Hail Mary into the box. Keeper come, but doesn't necessarily get it. He was probably being fouled. And referee is given that. He got bundled into the big Angus Gunn. Gets a pat on the back from his teammates, though. Well, the game's carrying on for some reason.
There's some exciting football commentary.
Receiving the ball from Will Hughes out wide, but he lifted it just over the bar. Southampton's best chance otherwise came from a Redmond cross to Bertrand. At the break, it's 1-0. Half time, it's Watford 0, Southampton 1. The only goal of the game came after just 8 seconds straight from kick-off. The ball was played back to Craig Cathcart. He tried to clear it long. It was charged down by Shane Long, who then advanced towards goal and chipped Ben Foster for the perfect start. Watford had a great opportunity to respond just a minute later. Andre Gray receiving the ball from Will Hughes out wide, but he lifted it just over the bar. Southampton's best chance otherwise came from a Redmond cross to Bertrand. Watford 0, Southampton 1. The only goal of the game came after just 8 seconds straight from kick-off. The ball was played back to Craig Cathcart. He tried to clear it long. It was charged down by Shane Long, who then advanced towards goal and chipped Ben Foster for the perfect start. Watford had a great opportunity to respond just a minute later. Andre Gray receiving the ball from Will Hughes out wide, but he lifted it just over the bar. Southampton's best chance otherwise came from a Redmond cross to Bertrand. At the break, it's 1-0. Half time, it's Watford 0, Southampton 1. The only goal of the game came after just 8 seconds straight from kick-off. The ball was played back to Craig Cathcart. He tried to clear it long. It was charged down by Shane Long, who then advanced towards goal and chipped Ben Foster for the perfect start. Watford had a great opportunity to respond just a minute later. Andre Gray receiving the ball from Will Hughes out wide, but he lifted it just over. Came from a Redmond cross to Bertrand. At the break, 0. Half time, it's Watford 0, Southampton 1. The only goal of the game came after just 8 seconds straight from kick-off. The ball was played back to Craig Cathcart. He tried to clear it long. It was charged down by Shane Long, who then advanced towards goal and chipped Ben Foster for the perfect start. Watford had a great opportunity to respond just a minute later. Andre Gray receiving the ball from Will Hughes out wide, but he lifted it just over the bar. Southampton's best chance otherwise came from a Redmond cross to Bertrand. At the break, it's 1-0. Half time, it's Watford 0, Southampton 1. The only goal of the game came after just 8 seconds straight from kick-off. The ball was played back to Craig Cathcart. He tried to clear it long. It was charged down by Shane Long, who then advanced towards goal and chipped Ben Foster for the perfect start. Watford had a great opportunity to respond. A minute later, Andre Gray receiving the ball from Will Hughes out wide, but he lifted it just. Best chance otherwise came from a Redmond cross to Bertrand. At the break, it's 1-0. Half time, it's Watford 0, Southampton 1. The only goal of the game came after just 8 seconds straight from kick-off. The ball was played back to Craig Cathcart. He tried to clear it long. It was charged down by Shane Long, who then advanced towards goal and chipped Ben Foster for the perfect start. Watford had a great opportunity to respond just a minute later. Andre Gray receiving the ball from Will Hughes out wide, but he lifted it just over the bar. Southampton's best chance otherwise came from a Redmond cross to Bertrand. At the break, it's 1-0. Half time, it's Watford 0, Southampton 1. The only goal of the game came after just 8 seconds straight from kick-off. The ball was played back to Craig Cathcart. He tried to clear it long. It was charged down by Shane Long, who then advanced towards goal and chipped Ben Foster for the perfect start. Watford had a great opportunity to respond just a minute later. Andre Gray receiving the ball from Will Hughes out wide, but he lifted it just over the bar. Southampton's best chance otherwise came from a Redmond cross to Bertrand. At the break, it's 1-0. Well, we're back out for second half independent off-tube studio commentary of Watford 0, Southampton 1. Southampton officially scoring the fastest goal in Premier League history and beating the record by over 2 seconds as well. It's no mean feat. It stood from December 2000 when Ledley King scored for Tottenham against Bradford, but now it's Shane Long scoring for Southampton against Watford to give them the 1-0 advantage at the break. It was a decent first half. Watford having plenty of possession, Andre Gray with a good chance, but it was perhaps Southampton that opened up the Watford defence a little bit more. So how can the home side respond? Well, they have made a substitution at the break, and it's Craig Cathcart, the man culpable for the Shane Long goal, that's been substituted, and right back Kiko Femenia is on in his place. So it's likely that Daryl Janmaat will go to centre-back. Watford go with Ben Foster in goal, a back four of Femenia, Janmaat, Cavaselli and Messina. Decore, Capoue, both of whom have been booked, and Hughes in midfield with Pereira and Delafeu supporting Gray. Southampton have Gunn in goal, back three of the booked Bednarek, Stevens and Yoshida, Ward-Prowse and Bertrand wing-backs. Romeu, who's also on a yellow card, and Højbjerg in midfield with Redmond and Armstrong supporting Shane Long. Up front, myself, Dan McCarthy and John Hogan taking you through the rest of this game. And John, that first half in terms of Watford maybe perhaps played out the way we expected. Some nice neat football, but they're not exactly throwing themselves about, so it's perfectly set up for Southampton.
Yeah, it was. I think things worked in their favour. We talked about their back three, Yoshida in the middle of that, how he got bullied by Rondon against Newcastle, but there's no Deeney to do that. On the other side of things, talk about a bad fit. Cathcart having to cope with the pace of Long, and he couldn't. He got closed down by him, he nicked the ball off him, and he ran away from him before he scored. But he made a couple of mistakes, Cathcart. But this game not cut out for him. He's up against Redmond and Long. He can't cope with that. And I think that's a smart move by the manager. But, one of those things, it took, you're probably not going to haul a man off after 8 seconds because he made a mistake. And you think, I thought that might happen because when I looked at their team sheet, I thought we're overmatched for pace. But it's a smart move anyway at the break. It's a shame it took that long for them to do it. It still may not work out, and it's still the case that they've got Wembley to look forward to, and that is at the forefront of their minds, I think.
Yeah, and Kiko Femenia is not exactly one of the first names on the team sheet, so it's a 45-minute audition, if you like. They do have Adrian Mariappa on there, a natural fit at centre-back, but again, he might be needed for that game at Wembley. Miguel Britos as well, but he's barely figured for Watford this season. So a bit of experimentation for Javi Gracia, as we were just speaking before we came back on air, that defence is where they do need to upgrade in the summer if they are to reach that next level. What that next level may be, not too sure yet. 7th is probably about as high as a club like Watford could get. No disrespect intended, because in some ways, ever since Leicester won the league, it's almost ensured that that'll never happen again. Just the vast sums of money that have been spent by those top 6 clubs, as Gerard Delafeu was caught offside trying to run forward. So Angus Gunn brings the ball halfway into his own half to take a free kick, which will go long upfield, aiming for Shane Long, who jumps, wins the header, and then very nearly gets onto his own flick on. It's with Stuart Armstrong instead. Armstrong just dispossessed. I think Armstrong was probably a little bit quiet in that first half, certainly more so than Redmond and Long.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought he played a bit more deep line as well, but more difficult down that flank where he's taking on Janmaat, and it seemed to me, because Redmond was more moving out to the right hand side, that's where the action was. If Redmond plays left, then all of a sudden it brings Bertrand into the game. But here is Redmond again, little cutback, not the best, but Watford able to defend that. So yeah, I think there's room for improvement for both the two teams. I quite like Kiko Femenia coming on. I think he plays quite well, plenty of energy. He's no weak link when he comes on, certainly not. And maybe him coming on will just add a little bit more fuel to the fire for Hughes, who, in the same way that Armstrong may have disappointed you, I feel a bit disappointed by Will Hughes this evening. He's just not been involved enough.
No, he hasn't. He's been a little bit stuck on that right-hand side. Does generally prefer to play centrally as Watford make their way into the box. Half shouts of a penalty. Femenia lifts the ball into the area. There was Decore, massive leaping figure of the Frenchman, getting in there, but couldn't get any power or conviction behind the header. We'll have a look at this half penalty. No, it was actually a very good challenge, but the ball went back in. Decore met it, and perhaps should have done a bit better there, because he wasn't directly challenged by anyone. He had the beating of everyone in the air and almost mistimed the jump.
Yeah, he's actually jumping over the top of the ball there. It looks like Delafeu's hurt himself there. Right ankle is hurting that. You know, that challenge from Stevens was strong, wasn't it, when he came across? I just wonder, whenever you think, all right, you know, I'm going to clear that ball out, but you're also going to get a little bit of the opposition. They seem keen to do that, but you've got to be really careful with that challenge nowadays. You know, it still can be construed as, you know, doing too much, and I think it's one of those. It's borderline that's a penalty kick, you know, for me. Maybe VAR would look at that, but it's not just enough that you've won the ball. If the next action you're sliding through is going to hurt the opposition, you know, and it's deemed dangerous, then that could be a free kick.
Yeah, I think it would have been incredibly harsh to give the penalty. It was a well-timed challenge by Stevens, and the follow-through did take him to Delafeu, and it's certainly not Watford want to see Delafeu down on the deck, and I'm sure many Watford fans will almost be thinking, as soon as he does go down, bring him off as a precaution. They've got Ken Sema and Isaac Success on the bench as well that they can turn to, but it looks like he's going to be okay to play on for the moment at least, as Southampton knock a long ball down the field. It's hooked across by Watford, but it's won back now by Armstrong, just a little bit scrappy on this near side. Romeu then dives in to try and win possession back. He's got to be careful. Already on a yellow card is Oriol Romeu. Femenia then tries to win it before Bertrand knocks it upfield. Now here's Long on this near touchline, tries to loft one over for Stuart Armstrong, and then it's a very unorthodox ball back towards Ben Foster, where he had to just lump it up in the air. It wasn't done too many favours by Cabaselli, and Southampton get the ball high up the park once again. Long into the middle for Armstrong. Is he going to try and release Redmond? Well, he did, but it was well dispossessed, and he probably should have gone for the shot himself. And be a bit selfish there, Stuart Armstrong. It set up really nicely for him. Tried to find the pass, but it should have gone for the shot probably.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Before that, we saw Hughes on the ball and dilly-dallying. You know, I see what happens, right? He's at some players are protecting themselves more than others out this Watford team. Hughes, he might as well not be out there. He's wrapping himself up in cotton wool, and he said, I don't want to get involved, don't want to get injured. But when you see what just happened to Delafeu, just being out in the field, you know, in a Premier League game, it's rough and tumble, and you know, imagine that challenge is enough to rule him out for Wembley. You'd think, well, what on earth was he playing for? Does it really matter? 7th place, you know. I know European football, if they get it, is going to put money in the coffers. You know, there'll be a few extra fixtures, but like I said, it's a poison chalice for a team that don't have that much resource. You know, it would be great for Watford to be in Europe. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, you know, a naysayer, but a lot of managers would go in and just put their second string in those midweek games anyway. You know, if they're playing on a Thursday night. So I think it's overstated, that European football thing. Here come Watford, opportunity at the edge of the box now. Chance for a shot, blocked away.
Yeah, it was Andre Gray that broke in there. It will come back out now to Will Hughes, who has support from Femenia behind him. Hughes will then run towards that corner flag before he turns under a challenge from Stevens getting across, and it will be a free kick for Watford in a dangerous area. You briefly mentioned it in the first half that we haven't really seen too many set pieces from either side, really. Watford have plenty of big men to aim for in there, even without Deeney. Yeah,
even without Deeney, but he's their most important big man, and don't forget they've taken Cathcart out. So they're not quite as big as they might be, Watford, but you've still got your two holding midfielders who are massive. You know, they've still got Cabaselli, so still targets for Delafeu to hit.
Yeah, it will be Delafeu to stand over this ball. He plays it towards that back post. Angus Gunn didn't look too convincing, as I think he just palmed the ball out behind him. It's now gone across, and Back in towards Firmino, who knocks it forward, but that's an awful pass, and Gunn can clear it. Still Watford 0, Southampton 1, early stages of the second half. Javi Gracia clearly not too impressed with what he saw in the first period. He made a change at the break, quite an attacking one as well, bringing off Craig Cathcart and putting on fullback kick-up for Firmino. There's been a chance for either side. Abdoulaye Doucouré with a mistimed jump chance as the ball was put across from the right-hand side. Doucouré broke his way into the box but almost jumped over the ball, and he couldn't quite get any conviction behind the header. Stuart Armstrong also had a good opportunity when he should have gone for the strike himself, as it was presented to him by Shane Long on the edge of the area. Instead went for the pass to Redmond, but it was snuffed out. Still Watford 0, Southampton 1.
Yep, so Delafeu making a break into the box. He goes, great feet by him. The cutback not quite good enough. Blocked away by Stevens. Needed to find a better final ball. Lovely drop of the shoulder there from Delafeu, though, to take him into the box. And so it remains at Watford 0, Southampton 1. And I think this sort of half-cocked Watford today just like that conviction, don't they, really? That I did think, just because they'd seen enough ball, they've got nice enough players, that they eventually would create something good enough. But I'm not sure if I'm not giving up on hope of them scoring there tonight. Yeah,
they might just wind themselves down as it gets closer to full time. I wouldn't expect Pereira to play 90 minutes this evening because he's only just recovering from injury himself, and then Delafeu is probably the prized asset, so they've got two changes left to make, as Javi Gracia might consider bringing those off. They've got Success and Sema on the bench as well. Daniel Chalobah, who's not really figured too much this season, is there to provide midfield cover. In terms of Southampton substitutes, well, they've got a couple of strikers in Danny Ings and Charlie Austin. Josh Sims, who's been figuring much more of late. Mario Lemina, who scored against Newcastle at the weekend. Jan Valery and Kane Ramsey, youngsters, along with the substitute goalkeeper Fraser Forster. Delafeu has actually gone into the book for a challenge over on the near side. Again, I think that's more fuel to the fire as reason to maybe bring him off.
Yeah, I agree with that. You find it difficult. One or two of these Watford players protecting themselves, thinking, I'm not going to get injured before the FA Cup final. You run the risk, don't you, because it looks like you've dipped in form if you're not putting it in. And somebody like Hughes, he's not a shoo-in to get that FA Cup final spot, is he? Not at all in this team. So I think he's got to be careful, really. But I understand it. I understand it as well. You know, it's up to their manager, really, just to say, right, okay, we're down in tools, or I'll play my second string, and we know that's pretty much what I'm doing. And until I decide, we're going to have maybe a half-hour run out in one of the games, something like that. But I think he needed to be clearer. You know, what he said before the game was sort of like, well, one game at a time and all that. And eventually the FA Cup final is going to happen. But the thing is, you can't separate that from what they're doing now. You know, not in the players' minds, not in the fans' minds, and you just have to deal with it. He's hoping that they just carry on, win this game, all action, but nobody gets injured. But life isn't like that, is it? And I think he needed to nail it and deal with it, and the manager has not,
Yeah, as mentioned in the first half, it's always hard to find the correct balance between not completely throwing the last few games of the Premier League season, but similarly they don't want to pick up injuries or suspensions, because for a lot of these Watford players, it's not like their Manchester City counterparts. This could be their only ever FA Cup final. I mean, some of them probably destined for bigger and better things. I'm thinking the likes of Doucouré, Delafeu, potentially Hughes later on in his career, and then Pereira, Capulet. You never know with those players as well.
Well, it's not so much that about potential, but this is as good as it might get. This might be the only trophy that a lot of these players are going to ever get in their life. The only opportunity to play at Wembley in an FA Cup final. They're lucky because they're playing it. They're up against a team, and I know they've got an incredible squad, but they're on the raggedy edge. They're going on a number of fronts, and they've got stuff in their mind, maybe a bit of fuzzy thinking. But we know that when players are going for this and that trophy, a lot of the times they can end up empty-handed. So that'll be the hope. And for Watford, it's the primary focus, So it's up to their manager to protect his players, to work out in his head what's the best. If everybody was fit, and if I got, 2 weeks into the players, which players would I want to take to Wembley with me? And just say, right, this is it, lads. I'm going to give you a run out. Some of you are going to get half an hour before we have that cup final, but I don't want you to get injured, and that's that. And let the other boys deal with it. And at the other time, you say to the other boys who you're going to bring in, look, if you shine like a beacon and do something brilliant, then I'm going to have to consider putting you in that team, and that's how it works.
Yeah, there does need to be some form of competition, really. I mean, we said there's certain players that, regardless of how they play until the end of the season, they will play in that FA Cup final, notably Troy Deeney, Gerard Deulofeu. Even though Deulofeu didn't actually start the semi-final against Wolves, seemed a strange decision at the time. He was the super sub on the day at Wembley, as the game has just entered into a bit of a lull, to be perfectly honest. We are over the hour mark, still Watford 0, Southampton 1. Independent off-tube studio commentary. Shane Long with the fastest ever goal in Premier League history, beating Ledley Kings by 2 seconds. It is going to be the big story from this evening's games, because in the other one it's still Tottenham 0, Brighton 0. It's been a bad night for Cardiff so far, with Southampton winning, and Brighton, no one would have expected them to get a point at Tottenham if it stays as it is. They've been in free fall recently of Chris Hughton's side, not looking like they pick up another point until the end of the season, so it was a very good result they got against Wolves, if indeed, as you watch the game, they didn't play too well. Looking at the stats on that screen, 17 attempts to 2 in Tottenham's favour, so certainly you feel Brighton have some defending to do. Now Watford have some attacking to do. Hughes tried to thread a through ball to Andre Gray. Nice idea from the midfielder, but it was cleared in the end by Angus Gunn. Not seeing a great deal of movement in the dugouts on our studio pictures, so we might have to wait a little bit longer for changes to be made. Don't suppose that the Southampton boss, Ralph Hasenhüttl, will be in too much of a hurry, but as much as this second half has flattered to deceive so far, I do think Watford are looking a bit more threatening, and they certainly are now, with Pereira dribbling his way into the box. Well challenged, though, by James Ward-Prowse, who continues to impress in that wing-back berth.
Yeah, I mean, Long's probably going to scoop man of the match, isn't he, no matter what happens here. But I think Ward-Prowse is having a really good game. Redmond lively. Redmond's been good for the last 2 months, actually. And so that's been enough. Other than that, I think Watford, on the whole, are the better team. But here they go, edge the air, real opportunity for them, shot blocked away, might just break out for Mendy now. The strike comes in from actually Yamat, and didn't hit the back of the net with that, but that was a bit better from the Hornets.
Yeah, it certainly was. It fell kindly for Daryl Yamat. Just the first touch brought him a little bit wider than he would have wanted when he took the strike. Had to try and cut across the ball. Good block in the end by Maya Yoshida. Will go out for a corner kick, though, so Southampton now with some defending to do as the corner swung in towards the back post. Cabaselli was there to jump for it. Just went over his head, but it comes back in the opposite direction. Cabaselli then goes down in the box. Mike Dean completely unfazed by any protest from Watford. I think Cabaselli looks like on first glance he went down very easily, but Watford bulldozing their way into the box again with Doucouré. His ball is now way over hit, and that's 3 deliveries from Watford really that weren't the best, and they gave themselves an awful lot of work to do.
Yeah, so we'll take a look at what the penalty shout was. I'm not entirely certain. I think Long was strong through the back of Cabaselli. He didn't make much attempt to play the ball, but it wasn't the biggest shove in the back you're ever going to see. It was just a little bit of a nudge. I think you've got to be stronger than that, quite frankly. Cabaselli's got to fight back, and if he wants to get on the end of that ball, be strong. Make sure you do. Anticipate that you're going to get a little nudge in the back. Be stronger and, somehow find a way to hit that ball in. I think of players like Shearer, in there. I don't think Long would have been nudging him out of the way. And if he did, he would have been making sure that he'd got his penalty, I think. But Cabaselli just not convincing one way or the other there.
Yeah, it's almost as if when players are in the opposition box, as soon as they feel any sort of contact, the first thought is just to go down to ground and see if they can win a penalty kick. Southampton are going to make their first substitution of the game by the looks of it. It's going to be Josh Sims to come on, who is an academy graduate, has played more for Southampton recently, having spent the first half of the season on loan at Championship side Reading, a player they've got high hopes for the future. He only played 45 minutes against Newcastle before he was given the chop at half-time. I would imagine it'd be a like-for-like with Stuart Armstrong, who hasn't really been able to shine in this game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that would be the change I'd be making. Having seen Sims recently, I've been just a little bit disappointed, but, you know, youngsters can be hot and cold, can't they? Here comes Pereira, though. He runs inside Ward-Prowse and does well initially, but then just runs into the challenge. That back five tonight for Southampton is getting its job done, isn't it? I think they're in much better shape than they were last time out.
Yeah, when they're defending, it almost goes to a 5-2-3 formation or a 5-4-1. It's quite a fluid lineup that Ralph Hasenhüttl has got in the Southampton dugout as Deulofeu feeds the ball through to Decore and then gets it back from Daryl Janmaat. Deulofeu will put a cross in from deep, one of those awkward ones that took a bounce before it was cleared behind by Yoshida, and Watford now have another corner, beginning to turn the screw now, the Hornets.
Yeah, they're getting closer and closer, aren't they, as they take the corner short. The ball comes in, headed away at the far post by Yoshida, and then further cleared out into the stand. They're creeping closer without really laying siege. Southampton not resting on their laurels as such, but finding it more difficult to break out. And Dan can put his crystal ball away now. Job done. But Armstrong has not had a great game there.
Still Watford 0, Southampton 1, but Watford are starting to look like the more dominant side now. They're getting at the Southampton defence, but in fairness to the back five as it's lined up so far, they're certainly doing the job manfully. Roberto Pereira has had a few chances to dribble at his opponents in the box, but overran them on a couple of occasions. They had a double effort from the edge of the area. Will Hughes with an initial strike which was blocked, and then it was Daryl Janmaat that went for the effort from distance. He just had a poor first touch though, and it was able to be blocked by Maya Yoshida and out for a corner. Southampton have responded by making a change. Josh Sims has come on for Stuart Armstrong. Still Watford 0, Southampton 1.
So, Watford with Femenia trying to work it out from the back, finds Janmaat, and then Kabasele, who'd gone to the left-hand side of those centre-backs now, having started out on the right. Cathcart started the game, got robbed on about the 5th second of the game, and then as we see Ward-Prowse bundle into Pereira. Oh, come on, referee, that was a foul. Pereira's still down, and I can't see anything but that was a foul. Pereira now picks himself up. Still 1-0 then to Saints away from home, and you know they look like they might go down under Mark Hughes this season, as Hughes has seemingly picked up a knock as he was trying to run through again. Referee maybe forgot his whistle this half, but he didn't give it. Not sure about that. Two players down actually, and both seem to be holding their noses. Not quite sure. I didn't really see the collision there, but play will have to stop. We'll take another look at what maybe happened. Just an accidental collision, wasn't it?
Yeah, Will Hughes and Maya Yoshida getting a smack in each other's face. Will Hughes is back up on his feet now. I think Yoshida bore the brunt of it a little bit more. I don't know if there's some claret maybe streaming from his nose, because he was very much took by surprise from it. I think because Hughes was moving forward as he made contact with Yoshida. It might have mean that Yoshida's come off worse there, but I think he's going to be okay. Yeah,
well, it's weird, isn't it? Just ran into each other. Clumsy, that's what I call it. It's funny that as well, because Hughes looks like he's been looking to protect himself today. Not really getting stuck in, I want to say. Looking for that FA Cup final and thinking, don't want to overdo it. Spurs still banging away against Brighton, by the way, and we're still waiting for the Yoshida to sort himself out, what have you. And if there's a bit of blood on his shirt, then that will have to come off. And if he has been bleeding, they'll have to make sure they mop that up as he goes off. Yeah, every time I look up, but Spurs are attacking the Brighton goal, but well, they defended fairly stoutly against Wolves, and they look to be doing the same thing. Rearguard action, plenty of time there. I think Spurs will score eventually. But will Watford in our game? Because Southampton still have the lead. They've had it from the 8th second of the game. So what was it, 7.68 or something like that?
7.69, and I think the previous record was 9.82, something like that. So it'd be like Usain Bolt running the 100 metres in 7 seconds. It's a real battering when you think about that record, and yeah, it's certainly not something that I think anyone would have expected.
It's funny that I bet Ledley King was hoping it might last forever, that record. Probably Bradford City don't want to be involved in that stat. Well, they'd be grateful that somebody got breached even earlier than them in the Premier League. Anyway, still Watford 0, Southampton 1. And again, Tottenham absolutely peppering the Brighton goal. But in our game, it's Nathan Redmond on the ball, and he plays pretty well to win his team a throw-in, parallel with the edge of the area. It looks like changes are about to be made. Lamina about to come on, but he's got nothing about him, has he, Dan?
He's brilliant at shooting from the edge of the box. Yeah, we did the Newcastle Southampton game on Saturday, and I was kind of making the comment that I'm not sure what he brings to the side, and then he immediately scored a brilliant goal. So anyone that I don't rate seems to be brilliant when I watch them.
Well, that's it. You got an immediate response from him, didn't you? But I know what you mean. One goal doesn't really change the fact that he scored last time out, but he hasn't started this time. So his manager may not have that dissimilar a viewpoint than you, quite honestly, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, he has been injured quite a lot recently. The appearance on Saturday was his first since December, so he's been out for a lot of the campaign. But I seem to remember before then he wasn't really figuring too much, not certainly compared to what he was or the amount of game time he was getting last season. So, for a player that was being linked with moves back to the really big clubs in Europe after he joined Southampton from Juventus, he's kind of gone a little bit backwards since then.
Yeah, I mean, the Premier League doesn't suit everybody. If you want to test yourself in the best division, you play the Premier League, but everything's quick. Everybody seems to be athletic and strong, and you've got to be really robust. I just think it's a league of athletes now. It really is. Anyway, not for everybody. As Stevens comes out, just flicks that ball away from Hughes. He's going to leave the throw for Kiko Femenia. And that change is going to be made as Lamina comes on. 18 for 14. And Romeo was on a yellow card anyway. He's had his usual sort of game, hasn't he? He puts himself about and does his job.
Yeah, he's a classic 7 out of 10 every game. He doesn't let you down, but he's not exactly going to do anything out of the ordinary. The fact that he's on a yellow card and they've got a like-for-like replacement on the bench means that this change is very sensible, and yeah, it's just another chance for a run-out for Lamina, just to try and build his fitness back up.
Yeah, I think when I first watched Romeo, I think it was at Chelsea in this division, I just thought he's no chance, he's nowhere near it, and he was sort of 4s and 5s. But his stock has risen, he's got fitter, he's got stronger, he's worked out what he needs to do, he clearly has improved. I think there is a ceiling for what he can do in his role. Long ball chipped over the top this time, but Gray can't get there, and Gunn comes out and deals with that.
Yeah, I think when Chelsea signed him, Oriol Romeu, he was essentially just a cheap gamble from Spain, which at the time didn't work out. He was only a young player, had a few loan spells away. I think he's found his level with Southampton, and he's been a decent player for them since his arrival there. Yeah,
I think I quite like the look of him and Højbjerg in there, doing a good job in front of the back 3 or back 5, if you like. They're a lot stronger, aren't they? The spine of this Southampton team is a lot better. I think what he's cleverly done is he said, right, our strong suit is not scoring goals, but we do concede a lot. Here comes Shane Long. Was he brought down in the box there? Well, Cabaselli takes a look. What's the referee doing? Looks like he's giving him a yellow card, or is that a card for Long for diving? Anyway, I think that might be a penalty kick. What do you think?
I thought Mike Dean signalled for a free kick just on the edge of the area. The contact came just on the edge. I think Shane Long knew what he was doing. He was trying to get in front of Cabaselli. Went down very, very easily. I'm not really too sure that the way the camera panned at Cabaselli initially. I think he's picked up the yellow card. We'll just have to wait and see. But Long wouldn't have done himself any favours with that. I think it is Cabaselli that's gone in the book, so it's going to be a free kick.
Yeah, I think it's a classic. Just outside the area, Cabaselli runs across the back legs. Shane Long is waiting for him, sees him coming, and when he does, flicks that ball away from him and says, catch him if you can. That running across the back of somebody's legs can really do a lot of damage, when somebody's going at full flight. I mean, Longy knows what he's doing there. He's going to win that free kick, and he's hoping that because he's running into the box, the referee gives us the pen. But, you can get an injury. I saw somebody, I think yesterday or the day before, pick up an injury like that. Somebody running across their back legs and really, really upsetting the apple cart. And I think, Southampton getting a sub ready. And I think, maybe Ings looking to warm up now. We'll see how Long is. And is that Success about to come on?
Yeah, Success coming on for Watford. I mean, I don't know if there's anything wrong with Shane Long. Well, Success is going to come on for Hughes, so it's quite an attack-minded change. Midfielder for a winger, forward/attacker. Shane Long, I mean, is he going to be able to continue? Well, they've got Jan Valery ready, so if they do bring him on for Long, they're going to have to play with a false number 9 up there. I mean, Valery's probably going to slot in where Ward-Prowse is, and Ward-Prowse might go a little bit further up the park. If it is Long that he's coming on for, it is Shane Long, so it'll be a bit of a reshuffle.
Yeah, it will. There'll be a lot of work in the team still, though. Redmond and Ward-Prowse will probably just creep up further up the flank, really. Valeri's a decent player. Long's had a great game, hasn't it? It's a shame that he's ended like this, but he'll be able to reflect on that record that should stand for quite a long time.
Heading into the closing stages at Vicarage Road, it's still Watford 0, Southampton 1. The game really is dying out as a contest. It's getting very scrappy in midfield. Southampton could have had a second goal when Shane Long was released towards goal. Christian Cabaselli ran across the back of him, brought him down just on the edge of the box. Cabaselli picked up a yellow card for his troubles. We've seen a couple of changes from both sides. Lamina and Valery have come on for the aforementioned Long, who went off injured, and Romeu. Success has also come on for Will Hughes. Watford 0, Southampton 1.
So, unbelievable. Van Sant Janssen has come on for Tottenham Hotspur. Oh dear, I quite like him actually.
I thought he was decent, and I think he was very harshly thought of in his initial season, but yeah, that's desperate times, desperate measures, I think.
Yeah, it sure is. He's very good back to goal. In front of goal is where his problems lie, I think. Anyway, in our game, well, Shane Long's worked his ticket today, grabbed his goal, shown his worth to his manager. All that pace and ambition, and if you have him running through the middle, he's going to get goals. I do feel for Shane Long a bit. He's been asked to do all sorts in his career. Just because he's got that pace, just because he works hard, he can play midfield, he can do this or he can do that. And then you say, well, he's not scored for almost a year, and then you wonder why. But anyway, it is what it is. He scored today.
Yeah, he's one of them that I think just got pigeonholed as a kind of hard-working centre forward that has to go and charge down the channels, use his pace, and I think he's almost kind of believed that in a way, and he rarely gets into the box. His runs always go from inside to out rather than the other way, and that's why he doesn't get too many goals. Another yellow card. Mike Dean always happy to give them out. Adam Messina with a very clear pullback on Sims.
Yep, didn't let him go, ragged him round the neck. Silly challenge, really. Do you think if Shane Long was at Liverpool, playing in Salah's position, I think he'd get a rake of goals there.
I don't think he'd get as many. I think he's a player that I suppose needs the service as well, because he's going to do so much running. He needs someone that's going to be able to find him. Otherwise, balls just get pumped into the channels. He will chase them, but it kind of almost allows an excuse for midfielders not to get their heads up and see a proper run, rather than just bang into the channels. Long, you're quick, you'll get there.
I think it'd be funny, wouldn't it? I mean, if he was at Liverpool, a team that would embrace his all-action style, that, you know, where he'd fold in. I mean, he could even do the Firmino thing, couldn't he? You know, play either inside, left, or right. But I'd probably be a great fit for them anyway, at no expense.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm going to say now is quite incongruous with what we saw in the opening second, because it was a great finish. But he snatches at chances too often as well when he does get them. I think there's a reason why he's never really progressed that high up. He's had a very good career for himself, don't get me wrong, but you know, Southampton, a bit like Romeu, that's probably his limit.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I think I really like him, his attitude, but clearly he is where he is. Had he been that little bit better, he would have got maybe a club where he would have got more goals and more chance to shine. You know, and maybe he would have been a good fit for, you know, an Arsenal about 5-6 years ago or something like that. You know, or certainly a Liverpool style of team now. Anyway, it is what it is. Watford 0, Southampton 1 is where we're at, and I guess that a lot of people who were smarter than me would have or could have predicted this kind of scoreline. You know, Southampton are what they are. If you're playing a back five, then you've got a lot of defenders. You've got two holding midfielders as well. You're going to try and nick a goal. You know, but if you do, great, because you're set up to defend, basically. Not that they've been super negative, they haven't, but it's a very solid formation. And for Watford, where's the incentive? They were never going to break their necks today. They've had a few chances going forward. They might have scored. It's not beyond the realms. They get a goal, but this scoreline, I think, yeah. Now I'm looking at it thinking, yeah, well, I'm sure somebody could have predicted this.
Yeah, not me, because I thought there was goals in it for both teams in the first half. But the way the second has gone, I mean, before the game, I gave Southampton a good chance of winning this for the reasons that you mentioned. That Watford, the heads might not entirely be on this game. Southampton, even if they'd have lost this game, many would have predicted that they'd survive. But it's just that seed of doubt. One more victory will pretty much do it. And it looks like they're going to get it unless they concede in the next 7 minutes or so.
Yeah, so they're looking to get past the 40-point mark, and that won't be needed this season anyway. You know, many pundits had Cardiff down before they kicked a ball, but it was Huddersfield who've been the terrible team this season. Only 14 points and 3 wins. You know, all the other teams I think have competed pretty well, but somebody's got to go down. It won't be Southampton though. And again, it might have been had they kept Mark Hughes at the helm. For some reason, I don't know, from a long time ago, I didn't feel that he's got what it takes to be a good manager at this level. And it's not that he hasn't been tried enough now. Anyway, Ward-Prowse chips the ball into the box, maybe an opportunity here on the half turn. But in the end, Sims couldn't do much with that, and the flag had gone up. Anyway, he was offside. We've got 6 minutes left of regulation play. I mean, I think maybe Arsenal, Southampton would have taken a point if offered them before a ball was kicked tonight, but they sat on 3 and they're vaguely comfortable, I would have said.
Yeah, I'd say so as well. We've not seen any chances really for a good 20 minutes now, and Southampton are just showing a little bit more ambition in trying to get forward. Ward-Prowse, he's having his shirt tugged by Janmaat. That's not going to matter because Redmond will break into the box, just overruns it at the last minute, and Cabaselli, he's certainly up for it, shouting at his teammates. Just think Redmond, sometimes he's a bit guilty of that, just overplaying and running into cul-de-sacs.
Yeah, but I think he buys a bit of time anyway. Again, Redmond all action, and you know he's got that pace, hasn't he, that just buys him so much time on the ball. which is a rarity really at this level. Most players are in a big hurry. There's not too many of the Eden Hazards who could do what they like. Redmond's got a bit of that about him. Obviously, not quite the mazy dribbler or the finisher, but still not bad. And here he is holding off a challenge at the edge of the area. Driving into the box now, Twinkle Toes gets his shot away. That's blocked at source by Cabaselli, but it's decent out by Redmond.
Yeah, it is really good. He's a tremendously talented player. There's a reason why he got called up for England a couple of years ago, but then there's another reason why that was his only England call-up. He's a player that plays in patches. He'll be very good for 2 months, and then he'll be off the ball for 2 months. Valerie's now getting forward. He looks to play one into the area, fizzes it across the 6-yard box. I think there was only one option there for him in the midfield. I think a player with a bit more experience might have just slowed it down there.
Well, he did ever so well there because he anticipated the ball, won it, then beat a man, then drove forward. You know, his man's at the far post, he thinks, and he's got to hit that ball hard to beat the defensive cover. But he just won't drop for a colleague. Maybe it should have been a slightly more chippy ball over the top, but anyway, didn't quite work out for him. But still, Southampton with really decent counter-attacks that are keeping Watford honest at the very least. They can't throw caution to the wind, can they? And I like that Saints have kept bodies up the field here.
Yeah, I mean, they might as well do that, try and put Watford under as much pressure as possible and stop them from getting forward. And they are starting to resort to more long balls now. Southampton again with some really good defending, play it forward. Watford just being frustrated now by the away side.
Yeah, they are. I thought there'd be quite a lot of goals in both the games tonight. Little did we know that after 8 seconds that was the end of the scoring this evening. But here come Watford trying to wriggle their way through. Can't quite manage that. Ward-Prowse just blams the ball forward. Redmond can get on the end of that. Wasn't a great ball, but in the end Cabaselli's done ever so well. He didn't win the first ball in order to win the second, if you like. And a flick on from his ex-success now. Chips it into the area. Maybe an opportunity here for Watford. Ball driven across the face. And some great defending. Well, I called it, didn't I? I called no more goals. So guess what? Eriksson scored for Spurs. And we very nearly had a goal for Watford. Then great play. His ex-success and then some terrific defending. And was that Yoshida running back there?
Yeah, almost a bit of fortune in it that his sliding challenge just took it wide of that post. Watford fizzed that corner in to the near post. Again, well cleared and defended against by Southampton. I think Sims is going to keep it in play, and he's just going to be tasked now with running forward and trying to find a teammate.
Yep, so away they come, but Sims shows too much of that ball to the defender. And in the end, pretty good defending that. But the clearance is not great. And then Watford have another opportunity to play it out. Eriksson's goal was nice. You know, he's got one of those quick goals in the Premier League as well. 11 seconds is his best effort. Here come Watford down the left-hand side. Real opportunity for them then. Delafay into the box he goes. Great cutback. The shot comes in. What a save. Wow, close range there. About 3 yards out. That should have been the equaliser. But again, you've got to give credit to Angus Gunn there. He didn't overdo it. You're not jumping out of the way. He's just standing there, remaining strong, saying, right, try and beat me. And they couldn't. So Watford have to come again, but they've gone ever so close in the last 2 minutes. Opportunity now as they try and work it down the right-hand side. Pereira ball swept into the box, but cleared by the first man. And the ball will have to be fetched back by Janmat, who finds Cabaselli. The only players inside the Watford half now, including their keeper. As the clock rolls round to 90 minutes. Delafay now on the ball, driving forward edge of the area. Looking for a give and go, gets that ball back. He's just driven out a little bit wider outside the box. He's able to turn and now stand them up. Into the box he goes, looking for a shot, left-footed. It's been blocked away, then the ball pumped up in the air. It's still not being cleared as Watford now officially throwing the kitchen sink at this. Delafay gets it out with his feet. Ball now from Fermendi into the box it goes, headed away by Yoshida. Breaks only to the edge, and Kepu can get back and recycle the ball. Proper siege being laid now on this Southampton goal.
Yeah, there definitely is. pretty surprised we haven't seen that much more of Deulofeu as it's in the box again, and Watford have found an equaliser out of absolutely nothing. Poor defending from Southampton, across from the right hand side, wasn't dealt with, but Andre Gray first time smashed a left-footed effort into the top corner.
I think they deserved that. They just got a bit ahead of steam there, Dan, didn't they? And it was a decent ball in from the right hand side. You know, Pereira found Femenia on the run. He put a good ball in. The ball breaks kindly and it's smashed in at that near post for the equaliser.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see who it was, the Watford player that got the most very fortunate assist I think I've ever seen as it goes into the area. Well, I can't see who it was.
Deulofeu, I think.
Deulofeu, but Andre Gray got the goal. Watford have found an equaliser, which, to be fair to them, they've probably deserved, given that they've laid siege on the Southampton goal for the past 5 minutes. It's Andre Gray that's got it across from Kiko Femenia on the right-hand side. The ball almost hit Gerard Deulofeu, who records the most fortunate assist the Premier League has probably seen this season, as it then fell to Andre Gray, who rifled it into the top corner to make the scoreline 1 apiece.
So, well, it's weird, isn't it? We're talking about the only goal we're going to get, and on 8 seconds we saw the first goal, and then we thought that was it. But as soon as I said that, one went in at Tottenham, and now the equaliser, and no doubts about offsides or anything. Here come Watford again, trying to win this game, but eventually that ball just smashed up the field into added time. They found 5 minutes. I don't quite know where they found that from. But anyway, an opportunity here for Watford to win the game, because Brighton are losing. I mean, Southampton, like I said, I think they would have settled for a point before the off. With Brighton losing and what have you, teams below them, means that it's very unlikely that there's going to be any kind of horror story for them. But Watford here trying to finish with a flourish, and they've got 3 minutes left to try and get a winner. And here they go, running from deep. Success makes a run up top, but they can't find him. And it's Southampton now with an out ball. They'll be disappointed, because for a long time it looked like they were coasting to 3 points today.
Yeah, I mean, Watford haven't been great in this second half, to be perfectly honest. And comfortable is probably the word you'd use for Southampton. Not really tested an awful lot by the Hornets. Not really got too much recorded down in terms of chances. Mind you, I haven't for Southampton either. It's been pretty flat second half, in all honesty, but it just took that one moment, I suppose, of good fortune in the end, and Gerard Deulofeu, as the ball hit him, Andre Gray, in fairness, reacted really well, and it's a good finish into the top corner. I don't think there was anything on Angus Gunn could have done at such close range, and, well, there might be a feeling of deflation for Southampton. But going back to what you just said, it would take an absolute calamitous end to the season for them to go down now.
It would. Deulofeu nearly finds a way through there again. Ball comes off his toe end. Didn't quite work out for him. So, looking at the table, as it stands, there'd be 3 points clear of Brighton below them. Brighton have got a terrible run in, haven't they, as well, as if I seem to remember. But and Cardiff, 6 points off that. The final whistle is blown at Spurs' new stadium, and they're celebrating a victory in our game. There's a minute and a half left to go. It's Southampton now trying to make a breakdown left-hand side. Bertrand did burst forward, but Højbjerg couldn't find him. In a quiet game today, Pierre-Emerick Højbjerg is a player I like. He all action, certainly cares. But Watford coming forward. I haven't quite given it up. The through ball from Deulofeu didn't quite find its intended mark there. Gray was in a nice little seam, but the ball needed a bit more pace for him.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it sums up the game as a whole, really. Nice bits of build-up play, but when the final ball is needed, it's not been there often enough. And Deulofeu, I think he had a bit more time and space to find Andre Gray that ball. Watford still going forward, and now it's down to Southampton just to try and defend this.
Yep, sharp ball in from Deulofeu. Ball into the box again. Was there a handball in there? Shot comes in again, blocked away inside the box. And it's not been cleared. Eventually Southampton scraped that ball forward, and now the counter-attack is on with Bertrand. He'll take Cabaselli for pace. He gets shoved over. I thought it was a free kick. Referee thought not. and so will Watford, who will have one more opportunity here down the right side. Femenya puts the ball in. It's been dealt with by the Southampton rear guard. They try and find Redmond again. This time the ball will break kindly. I'm sure Redmond's having a bit of a chip to the referee there. I thought he might have been fouled by Cabaselli. But anyway, Watford trying to get forward, have their pockets picked. Then there's a foul in the middle of the park. I think Sims was hauled back by Pereira. And it looks like our game is probably going to stay at 1 apiece. We're literally seconds left of the game now. Have Southampton done enough? Probably. And like I say, it's a good point for them. I think it's a well-deserved point for both the two teams, really. Southampton always were in the game, got their early goal, always had a good counter-attack about them, soaked up the pressure pretty well, defended quite well, I felt, for a long period, deserve what they've got. Referee blows his whistle, and there we go. Final scoreline, Watford 1, Southampton 1.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck!